Hello everybody, and welcome to the new and improved edition of Athena's Web. Today we're taking a look at Roswell, New Mexico. Well, Roswell has become known as the UFO capital of the world, and it's become that way for a story that took place in 1947. Behind me you see the Boy Scout Mountain. And close by here, it was a location of a crash site where on the 4th of July, 1947, Jim Ragsdale was out here with his girlfriend in the back of his pickup truck. They were under a blanket and a tarp looking at the stars. And there was a distant thunderstorm so far away that they couldn't really hear it. They could certainly see it. And after a while, there was suddenly a violent crash and a lightning strike very close by. Right after that, a craft came by, coming over the tops of the trees, so close that they thought that it was going to hit them. It did miss them, but then did crash into the side of the mountain shortly after that. The two of them, after a time, gathered their flashlights and went over to inspect. The debris was littered across the field. There was a material which they couldn't define, something they'd never seen before. There were some sort of humanoid creatures wearing helmets. He tried to take one of the helmets off, was not able to do so, and returned back to their pickup truck. The next morning, they went out again, gathered a few of the artifacts, and upon hearing some heavy machinery coming in, took off. So, that was the first part. The farmer who owned the land, Mac Brazel, came out and was inspecting his property after the violent thunderstorm, the morning after the violent thunderstorm, and he too came across the crash site. And after gathering up a few materials, took it in to Sheriff George Wilcox to report what he'd found. Wilcox notified the Air Force, who came out, and together started to not only look at the site, but to cordon off the site and to keep people from looking at it. The information, once having hit town, did make the newspaper, and it was reported that a saucer had crashed, and from around the world the calls began to come in. And this is where the notoriety first derived from. The next day, the Air Force, in the same paper, reported that it was a weather balloon that had gone over, but in talking to Mac Brazos, in talking to Sheriff Wilcox and his wife, Inez, they threatened them with death if they said anything about them. Not only would the Air Force supposedly kill them, but they'd kill their children as well. So the word was, don't say anything about this. So, the weather balloon was the story for the time being. This is... leads us to a story about the Phoenix Lights, which on the 17th of March, 1997, the 13th of March, 1997, there was a series of lights that formed a V-shaped formation that came down I-17, passed over sacred airspace, passed right over the city of Phoenix, Arizona, and close to 10,000 people saw it. It was very low, it was moving very slow, it made no noise, it was observable for an extended period of time throughout the entire evening. People were calling into the police station, people were calling in to the local airport, trying to determine what it was that had happened. Nobody knew much of anything other than what they were seeing. And that was the name of that tune. Now, on January 22nd, 97, March 13th, 97 we'd mentioned, January 14th, 98, May 18th, 2005, August 30th, 2005, and August 30th, 2006, there were additional sightings of these luminous lights in the Phoenix area. The Mexican Air Force on the 5th of March, 2004, passed on footage of their Air Force taking pictures of similar lights. Belgium, France, Brazil, and Mexico have opened their UFO files to people. In 1952, there was a UFO flyover of Washington, D.C. Well, normally I don't extend myself out into other disciplines, and I would consider this another discipline. but I did have personal experience with it as well. On the 11th of May, 1994, over the city of Northampton, Massachusetts, there were lights similar to what the Phoenix lights report that were blinking on and off, coming back in the same place and slowly floating, for lack of a better word, over the city of Northampton that many, many people saw. Now, going back to Roswell, if it's a weather balloon, you don't threaten people with death if they say anything about it. That's not a big deal. Who cares what the weather balloon materials are made of? According to the newspapers in Northampton, Massachusetts, the fear factor as it came out, second graders came out of a school, were looking up at all the lights that were there, and their fear manifested as, "Beam me up, Scotty." Thanks a lot for tuning in. Best you can. Have a good one, everybody.